of Vairagyam, which is dispassion. So if you are craving, then the mind cannot achieve this state of nirodha. Oh, I want to get into this state of samadhi. With that attitude, if you go, you cannot steady the mind. It has to be a completely dispassionate mind. In fact, Patanjali will say in the final higher states of samadhi, it is all about para vairagyam, great dispassion. That is what will get you there. So this is the thing. If you go like with a state of I am going to master this, then you won't get it. It is a state of letting go. That's how you tackle the mind. Tat param purusha khyate gunavaitrishyam. So now Patanjali says how you can attain that state of vairagyam. And this is very similar shloka comes in the Bhagavad Gita. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So here it says, upon gaining the supreme knowledge of the Purusha, you are in such joy that even the thirst, craving for the gunas, all those ceases. So how do you substitute? So we are always, we want some pleasure. How do you substitute that for something higher? So the dispassion is very difficult, seemingly, because you're always, when I ask you, okay, leave the desire for all your favorite things, it's going to be very difficult. And Patanjali explains how you can do it by tuning on to something higher. So tat param parushakyate, upon gaining that supreme knowledge, all these gunas, the gunas are the ones which cause craving, attraction. All these things are the function of the gunas. He's going to later define what the gunas are. These are the things which create all these turbulences in the mind. And he says, by gaining that supreme knowledge, something higher, by focusing on something higher, the bliss that you get will let you relinquish the smaller objects that give you pleasure. So that is the trick to getting vairagyam. So in the Bhagavad Gita also say, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina. For somebody who has attained some level of dispassion, the objects of the senses recede away. Vishaya vinivartante means they recede away. Niraharasya means one who doesn't want to feed on the sense objects. The senses don't want to feed. So niraharasya dehina. But rasavarjam, that little bit of, even when you sit in meditation, the desire, the tingling, I am missing that, that may remain. But raso api asya param drishtva nivartate. Even that clinging, when one has encountered something bigger, something, it can be anything. Something bigger means a higher state of meditation. It is a vision of God, whatever it is, then even the thirst goes away. Okay, so that is this Purusha Khyati means realization. Here it means realization or the discriminative knowledge of the Purusha. The gunas or rajas and tamas, they also drop away. Okay, all right. Now comes, so I'll take a little more time and go over these sutras and also tell a story. So in this chapter, it's very dense, right? So I'm giving a lot of analogies. In the second chapter, there'll be lots of stories. It's much easier to go through, so there'll be stories. Okay. Bhava pratyayo videha prakriti layanam. Look at the words for the discarnate, bodiless devas, or these devas, they are adepts with bodiless consciousness, and those subsisting in the elementals, this asamprajnata samadhi happens by birth. Okay, now we'll see what it means. Bhava, become or manifested. Here pratyaya means here it doesn't mean the contents of the screen of the mind. Here it means caused by. Videha means those without bodies, and prakritilaya, they are people who are merged. So Patanjali talks about people who are merged in Prakriti. Prakriti Laya. Laya means pralayam. It's a great merger. Everything just merges or goes into the unmanifested state. Pralayam. So there is creation of the universe, Srishti, and universe exists, and then at the end, it pralayam. It just dissolves. So people who are um, merged with Prakriti. So the Videhas, the how Swami Hariharananda defines this, these are beings like certain gods or deities who through intense meditation on a subtle object in a past life are reborn without a gross body. And they live in the state for a long time. It is like Kaivalya, but it's not. The latencies, the samskaras still remain till, and they're brought out by these latency sprouting. When the seed sprouts, they've come out, and we'll see a story to show that example. Then he talks about the prakriti layas are people who are merged in prakriti. They are beings who through intense meditation on the unmanifest source of nature are able to achieve a state of complete dormant absorption into it. The mind's retaining latent impressions. So as it is like a state of liberation, but they can be brought out of it when these latent impressions sprout. The seeds become sprouts. So Patanjali, the reason, here is the reason why he is saying this. Patanjali says, beware of these states. These are not liberation. Very clearly, Patanjali says that. And he's giving a warning about this impermanency, because as long as all your storehouse of karma, the impressions are there, it will sprout. So it is only through knowledge that those impressions can be wiped off. Okay, now let us look into the story of Rishi Saubari. This is from the Bhagavata Purana. There was once a great Rishi, a sage called Saubari. He was determined, he wanted to get into great states of samadhi. He was determined to do tapas so rigorous that no worldly distraction could touch him. So what did he do? He didn't want any distraction. So because of his great practice already, he decided to meditate underwater in the depths of the Yamuna river. He remained there for a long time, holding his breath. I don't know how long, so long. And to an external observer, would look perfectly liberated. He had no contact with women, no contact with wealth, no contact with society. He was effectively merged with the element of water. So it's Prakriti Laya, merged with Prakriti. Prakriti here is water. Then there's a trigger happened. The seed of desire was still there in the Rishi. One day, while submerged in this trance, he happened to open his eyes. So there was some things going around him, and he saw a large male fish, the king of the fish, playing happily with his female partner and their many offspring. Watching the fish enjoy domestic bliss, a sudden overpowering desire came to the Rishi. So the latent impression of loneliness, it's not been fried, it is there, it's remaining in him. It had been suppressed, but it had not been burnt. So he thought, I also want to enjoy the happiness of family life. So he emerged from the water. All his years of penance, this tapas, undone in a split second, is gone. He went to King Mandata, that's the name of the king in that region. He asked for one of the hand of one of his 50 daughters. And this is an old rishi. The king was afraid. I mean, these rishis, they have superpowers. What if he gives him a curse? So he didn't directly say no. He said, okay, you may enter the palace, and whichever of my 50 daughters decides to marry you voluntarily out of her own choice, you may marry her. That daughter shall be your wife. Now, what the king didn't know is Saubari had magic powers. So he used his yogic powers, he used his yogic siddhis to transform himself into a handsome young man. And when he went into the palace, all the 50 princesses fell in love with him. They all wanted to marry him. And they fought with each other as to who would marry. So Saubari ended up marrying all 50 princesses. And he also he treated them so well. He gave the illusion of happiness, used his immense yogic merit, all the merit he had accumulated in this and past lifetimes. He created 50 crystal palaces. He, out of siddhis, he created 50 lush gardens. He created servants for each wife. And he expanded himself, not just that, he expanded himself into 50 forms so he could be with every wife simultaneously. He spent many, many years enjoying the highest sensory pleasures. He had many children and he thought he was happy. Then one day, after many years of enjoyment, he realized, he looked at his family and he realized he was not any more satisfied than he was on day one before he started meditating. So he realized that desire is like a fuel. You add fuel to a fire, the fire only burns strong. It creates more desire. So adding fuel to the fire of desire, feeding the desire with more and more pleasure is not a way to extinguish it. So he saw that his underwater samadhi, his prakritilaya, it had been fragile because he isolated himself physically, but he was not detaching himself mentally. The Vairagyam was not there. So therefore, he returned to the forest, this time with true understanding, and he started doing more meditation. And guess what is the climax to the story? Does anybody want to guess? Anybody? When he goes to the forest? Take a guess. What happens? Anybody wants to say? Amy, Mimi, Anu? Everybody's quiet.
I'm totally clueless. I have no idea.
Okay. All the...
Maybe his wives also followed, all the 50
Yeah,
wives followed him.
they also followed. All of them, they also started meditating. So this is from the Bhagavata Purana. Okay. All right. So this is...
Maybe the wives followed him.
Yeah, they also followed him. See?
Can't hear.
Yeah, they also followed. So, and this is the famous the verse. Aho imam pashya me vipashyata me vinasham tapasvina sacharita vratasya antarchale varichara prasangat prachavitam brahmachiratrutam yat. Alas, look at my fall. I was an ascetic who had observed strict vows, but simply by the association of a fish, Varichara, while underwater, I fell from the spiritual position which I had held for so long. So he's lamenting. And what meter is this in? Anything that is like fantastic or a cry of lamentation. When Arjuna laments, what meter does he lament in?
Trishtup.
Trishtup meter. It is in Trishtup meter. This is from the Bhagavata Purana. So, samadhi of the Videhas and Prakritilayas, they look like asampragnata samadhi, but it feels like ultimate freedom. There's a tap. The latent impressions remain. So this is the critical difference to true asampragnata samadhi, which is based on para vairagyam. That's why the vairagya is very important. It is built on the foundation of viveka, discrimination between purusha and prakriti. Purusha is always happy. Prakriti is happiness comes and goes with the gunas, the fluctuation. This path fries the seeds of all the samskaras leading to permanent